What's up, addicts? We're back today with an addiction prescription, and this is for a TV. Well, it is kind of a TV show, an anime that is not made in Japan, so I don't know if it's therefore classified as an anime. It is.
I think people are like blasphemy.
Chinese animation show, affectionately known as Quan Zhi Fashi, or
Full-time Mage.
Yeah,
The full-time.
The
full-time magician.
It's something
Merlin
like that.
the show.
Merlin the.
High school
Mofan High School Transportation. So this one is, it's not really transported into another world. It's like transported into another dimension where everything's the same, but there's magic.
Yeah, but it's funny because it is one of those shows, and the thought that it's like, oh yeah, we just wanted this guy to like not know what magic is, but have him in a magic world, and that's basically the only reason why they give that kind of deal, because it doesn't play a part at all. Like, it's not part of his motivation. It's not even in one episode's main plot. It's just like, oh, here's a few seconds clip of how he got here.
Yeah, so in this world, pretty much all the military is run by magicians. Mm-hmm. You have many different elements. In high school, you awaken one element, and you kind of learn, and if you have talent, you can get stronger and stronger. The magic system is super large as far as there's low tier magic, 1, 2, and 3. Mid tier magic, 1, 2, and 3. High tier magic, then highest tier magic. Then there's something even above that, maybe. And in response to that, there are monsters in these worlds that attack humans, and they kind of correspond to those levels with different titles.
I love how excited your voice got there. I like it.
So yeah, there's like servant level monsters, and leader of the pack level monsters, and commander-in-chief level monsters, and commander level monsters. So it's actually one of the biggest worlds in anime or in animation as in regards to magic and sorcery and monsters. We get to see that in the show pretty early on in regards to when they go out into the wild and hunt monsters, how powerful these monsters are in comparison to mankind.
I will say though, if you get to watch the show it's also a book, so you can read that as well. But if you watch the show, you'll, like, when you get first introduced, the magic seems a little bit restricted, I guess, in its variety, because you're like, oh, it's elemental magic. That's all they got. Okay. But it really opens up, especially like in the second season, third season, and even in the books, when you go farther down, you get introduced to a lot of different things. So, and it's done in a way that's, I think the author was like, this is what it is, and then he added them after the fact. So, really, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, but it's still really cool, because the way the magic works and like how people progress or get their powers, like unlock them, or like the tiers, it's really balanced. I think this is probably one of the most balanced, like, magic in a world.
Yeah, I think the strongest thing of this author in this series is world building. Now, there are some problems with the show. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially how it was dealt and who was making the series. But the world itself is vibrant. You feel like there's many different threats just around the corner for our hero. He is strong, but he's not invulnerable. In fact, one of the best lines, I don't know if it's in the show or in the book, but it's talking about, like, yes, you're talented, yes, you have power, but at any time if someone wants to kill you and they're older than you, then they can.
Yeah.
So you're really not super strong until you get higher up.
Because it's not so much that, the main character may or may not get really OP, but most of his strength is just of how much of an advantage in, like, speed, or I guess he's immediately in, like, his situation. He's like all of his classmates are here, and he's like here. If you can see that, he's got a leg in the race already when they're still stretching. So that's a analogy that I didn't expect.
I liked it. Yeah, it worked.
But
yeah. So let's talk about the problems with the show. This is made by a Chinese company, I believe Tencent. I don't know if they've made all 3 seasons, because there is some continuity errors between the 2 seasons.
Yeah, and
I guess 3 seasons now.
Yeah, there's, most of it's kind of like, there's like a dip in the animation quality. Some of it's a little bit dated, like it looks like it maybe came out in the 90s or early.
Little portions.
Just little portions, yeah. There's one episode in particular in like the I think it's like the second season, where like it's zoomed out and you kind of see characters from like waist up, and it looks good. It looks good. Not great, but it looks good. And then, like, when they talk, there's, like, certain elements where they talk and they, like, zooms in their face, and they just... It's almost like One Punch level drawing. Like, how, like, drastically it changes. And, I don't know, for some people, that might be irritating. For me, it wasn't too bad. I just kind of laughed it off. But, you know, if it's something that you guys are like, no, it has to be really good animation all the time, you might get a little bit frustrated. Like Michael said, there's some plot things that they're a little bit inconsistent about, or maybe they jump over because they're trying not to spend too much time explaining things or going into detail. But overall, I think, you know, the characters, besides like how the magic works, I think the characters are also pretty strong. Specifically, the main character, he's really interesting. He's got a great like motivation, and
he's breaking class barriers. I don't care if you're a royal, I'll attack you. Yeah, no, he's a great character. Another thing that in the scope of the show is more apparent than in the books is that the author does seem to drop characters, introduce a lot of new characters in between season. I think that a lot of that is the source material, but a lot of it is also that I think they're produced by different studios, or the continuity in the show between the seasons isn't great. For example, the finale of season 1 and the intro to season 2 is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Even the dialogue and everything.
It's like they didn't know exactly how, like, what all happened or what all was said in the previous season, so they're like, okay, let's just start new, but continue the story where it left off.
There is one great drawn character, though.
Oh, yeah, like 100% of the time. It's
if you
all
watch
the budget
show,
goes to that character.
If you watch the show, you know who we're talking about. Yeah. We won't even mention her name.
Immediately, you'll see it.
You'll see it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and it's like, wow, there's not that many characters that are like this in these kind of shows. Okay. But yeah, another aspect of the show is that it skips a year or years fairly frequently.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because you have a guy who's powerful, but it still takes a lot of time to get up there. So instead of spending 2-3 seasons for him to get up to, you know, graduate high school, it spends one season, and in fact, in one episode, you know, we really just see the highlights of his journey, and in fact, in one episode, it's like, yeah, it's time to graduate. It's been a tough 3 years.
Yeah. And then, like, I guess it should say that, like, the second season slows it down a little bit, but, you know, you see it pretty evidently in, like, the first season, third season, where they do a lot of jumping around, which I would say I really like when they do that, because not only do you get like a sense of like believability, because you're like, oh, this, you know,
been a couple years,
yeah, but you also get to see, you know, like characters and where they're at, and then, you know, it kind of makes it refresh in itself, because you get to see where everybody has learned in that time. But I think, I mean, what do you think is like well, I don't know if you already said what you like about the series, but is there any problems with like the story that you have in like the first season?
So there's 3 seasons out. The third season is currently coming out week by week. As far as problems with the story, I think some characters are really awesome, and there's some scenes where they explain some things, and some things are like, now that I know that she has the power of this, that I understand why that happened in the previous scene. Mm-hmm. For example, it's not a major spoiler. In the third season, you realize that there's a teacher who has shadow powers. Mm. And in the first season, she like randomly disappears from our main character, right. And the guy's like, whoa, where'd she go? And it's like, looking back, oh, she used her shadow powers.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't just the animators being lazy.
Yeah. So there are some things like that, again, with continuity. But overall, if you like anime, if you like the genre, if you can get over the continuity errors and some of the animations and quality being less than what is up to date in other shows that we've talked about, mm-hmm. The story in the world is really great. And if you read the book or even watch the third season of the show, I think it's very rewarding to watch. And I would say it's one of my 2 or 3 favorite Chinese shows. It is different to read in Chinese, and getting the show or watching the show or finding proper subtitles is more difficult, needless to say. You'll have to figure out how to do that on your own.
I can put a link in the description, maybe.
We'll see, but you can look it up and find
First 24 hours comment, then I'll delete it.
Yeah, exactly. No, so those are some elements. So since this is an addiction prescription, we really don't have to do a review, but would you recommend people checking this show out? And
I think,
what's your impression of the show?
I think the first season, if you watch the first season all the way through, that's a really good judge if you like the series. Because, well, I mean, you don't have to watch the whole season to get that impression. But, I think if you watch the first season and you like what you see, you'll like the series in general. The second season, I think, it dips the most. I don't know. To me, I really enjoyed the first season. And while some of the stuff they tackle in the second season is still pretty interesting, it seems like it lost my attention a little bit. But the third season, I think, brings it back even better. Well, maybe not so much not everything, but it definitely the production value and the story is still on par, I think, with the first season so far. And even if it's something you guys struggle to get through the second season, I think it's a series worth watching all the way up to current.
Source material is great.
Yep, and it's moving at, I would say, decent speed.
Decent speed.
It's not one of those that you're like, oh, nothing happened this episode.
Exactly.
It's if anything, it's one of those episodes where, oh, this was short. That was 20 minutes. I'll watch the next one.
Exactly. You'll enjoy it.
Not the best series I've watched in terms of a show, but I do really like the concept. And with I said, the third season bringing it back even better. I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Especially with the epic things that happen in the third season.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you, one of the things that I think maybe makes the second season maybe just less enjoyable is it maybe takes away from his core, goal. I mean, they still slow it down to show you, kind of where he's, they show him getting stronger, but I guess there's not so much reward in, progression, I guess you could say. Because he doesn't get a whole lot more powerful in the second season.
Yeah. And I think if you check out this series, it really has a great world, and even the personality of the main character. The main character is a really strong character, not in the sense that he's strong, but in the sense that he's well developed, he's deep. You get to understand where he's coming from. Does he do stupid things sometimes? Certainly.
But it's
understandable, and it's worth it. So that pretty much covers up for this video. We don't want to make it too long. Check out the show, Full-Time Magician, Quan Zhi Fashi. We can spell it in the description maybe. If not, who cares? But check out this series. We have a lot of other addiction prescriptions on the channel you can check out. Comic reviews, anime reviews, light novel discussions, a lot coming on the channel, and even maybe the introduction of a new series. We'll have to see when that comes out. But that's pretty much everything for you. Check out our podcast, and we'll see you later. Addicts.